The dim constellation of Sculptor lies at the very edge of the Milky Way, offering a direct look into the intergalactic abyss. Like the ancient creator Pygmalion, this celestial master seems to carve entire galaxies out of eternal cosmic darkness. Right here lies the south pole of our galaxy, a unique window completely free of stellar dust. And through it shines the famous Silver Coin Galaxy, where millions of new stars are being born right now.
Good day. We'll begin today's lecture with a paradox. We're turning our attention to the constellation Sculptor, a region of the southern sky so dim, so devoid of bright stars, that for centuries it was pretty much ignored. However, for the modern astronomer, this apparent emptiness is actually its most profound and valuable feature. We're going to demonstrate how this celestial void serves as one of the clearest, most unobstructed windows we have into the vast universe beyond our own galaxy. Our analysis today will be structured in 5 parts. First, we'll unpack the central paradox of Sculptor. Second, we'll establish its astrometric passport, basically its precise coordinates in the sky. Third, we'll explore exactly why this location makes it such a vital window to the universe. Fourth, we'll delve into its intellectual history, a section I like to call the celestial workshop of the Enlightenment. And finally, we'll wrap things up with a practical summary for any of you who are observers. All right, let's begin. All right, so that central paradox. You know, in almost every other case, a constellation's fame is tied to the brilliance of its stars, right? Well, with Sculptor, it's the complete opposite. Its value to science is actually inversely proportional to its visual brightness. The fact that it lacks any prominent nearby stars isn't a flaw. It's a fundamental advantage for deep space astronomy. Let's dig into why that is. So what does this mean in practical terms? Well, it means that when we point our telescopes towards Sculptor, our line of sight is aimed perpendicular to the galactic plane. This lets us bypass the dense clouds of gas, the dust, and the billions of stars that make up the spiral arms of the Milky Way. Essentially, we're looking straight up and out of our galaxy into the vastness of intergalactic space with minimal interference. It's an incredibly clean shot. Okay, let's quantify this region of the sky. To really grasp its significance, we first need to lay out its fundamental astrometric data. You know, its size, its position, and its visibility from here on Earth. Let's start with size. Sculptor covers an area of 474.8 square degrees on the celestial sphere. Now, to put that in perspective, that makes it the 36th largest of the 88 officially recognized constellations. So it's not small by any means. But its dimness makes this pretty substantial patch of sky incredibly easy to overlook. And think about this. Across that entire area, nearly 475 square degrees, only about 55 stars are visible to the naked eye, and that's under ideal dark sky conditions. This incredibly low stellar density is our first quantitative clue to the region's exceptional transparency. There's just less foreground light to get in the way of our view into the deep. Now, the key takeaway from these coordinates is the constellation's remarkable global accessibility. For any observer located between 50 degrees north and 90 degrees south latitude, the entire constellation is visible at some point during the year. This covers pretty much all major southern hemisphere observatories and a huge chunk of the northern hemispheres as well. You can even glimpse its upper reaches from as far north as 78 degrees latitude, which really makes it an object of global astronomical importance. For those of you who want to find it, the best time to look is during October and November. Your main navigational guides will be its brighter neighbors. You'll want to look south of the large constellation Cetus, the Whale, and just to the east of the bright star Fomalhaut in Pisces Austrinus. Okay, this brings us to the core of our astrophysical analysis. The data we've just reviewed, its dimness, its location, this isn't some cosmic accident. Sculptor's unique transparency is a direct consequence of our solar system's geometric position relative to it, from within the Milky Way galaxy. And here's the crucial point. Within the boundaries of Sculptor lies the South Galactic Pole. Now, think of Earth's South Pole, but then scale that concept up to our entire galaxy. The South Galactic Pole is the point on the celestial sphere that's directly south of and perpendicular to the vast flat plane of the Milky Way. And that point is located right in Sculptor. This analogy really illustrates the concept perfectly. Imagine the Milky Way is a huge, flat, disc-shaped building. Our solar system is somewhere inside. If you look along the disk, you're looking through countless rooms filled with stars and dust. But looking toward Sculptor, well, that's like standing on the roof and looking straight up into open space, with an almost perfectly clear view. And this clear view reveals some of the most magnificent deep sky objects out there. The undeniable jewel of Sculptor is NGC 253, also known as the Silver Coin Galaxy. This is a starburst galaxy, an environment of cosmic creation and colossal energies, where stars are forming at a rate tens of times more intense than in our own Milky Way. This furious activity generates powerful stellar winds, which our telescopes can see as giant plumes of superheated gas being ejected from its core into intergalactic space. And what's remarkable is that, at a magnitude of 7.1, this distant spectacle is bright enough to be seen with a good pair of binoculars. Also in this field of view, we find the Sculptor Dwarf galaxy. This is a satellite galaxy, gravitationally bound to the Milky Way. It's composed almost entirely of very old stars, making it a kind of fossil relic from the era of early galaxy formation. Studying it gives us a direct window into the conditions of the nascent universe. Even the constellation's brightest star, Alpha Sculptoris, is of immense scientific interest. Despite its modest magnitude of 4.3, it's a fascinating SX Arietis variable. Now, this is a class of rapidly rotating stars with unusually strong magnetic fields. In this case, the field is so powerful it causes an uneven, patchy distribution of heavy elements like helium and silicon across its surface. As the star rotates, these patches swing in and out of view, causing the subtle but measurable fluctuations in brightness that we observe from Earth. So now that we've established its astrophysical importance, let's shift our focus to the human dimension, to the history and philosophy behind this modern constellation's identity. You see, Sculptor isn't an ancient constellation. It was charted and named by the French astronomer Nicolas-Louis de Lacaille during his foundational expedition to the southern hemisphere in the mid-18th century. His original name for it, the Sculptor's Workshop, really captured the spirit of his time, an era that celebrated human craftsmanship and scientific instruments. And this marks a profound intellectual shift in how humanity viewed the heavens. The ancient constellations immortalized gods, monsters, and heroes. They were reflections of a worldview governed by divine will and fate. But Lacaille's constellations, they are products of the Enlightenment. They celebrate not gods, but the tools of science and art, the telescope, the compass, the sculptor's chisel. They celebrate the fruits of human reason and ingenuity. The metaphor here is particularly fitting. The myth of Pygmalion, of course, tells of a sculptor who carved a statue so perfect that it came to life. In much the same way, Enlightenment astronomers like Lacaille took the uncharted, seemingly empty patches of the southern sky and, by applying reason and instruments, imposed order and meaning upon them, sculpting new constellations out of the darkness. All right, let's now conclude our theoretical discussion and translate this all into a practical guide for any budding observers out there who wish to explore these celestial treasures for themselves. The process is straightforward. First, locate the bright star Fomalhaut. From there, scan the area just to its east with binoculars to find the unmistakable, elongated silvery glow of NGC 253. For a more challenging target, you'll want a telescope to resolve the globular cluster NGC 288, which lies very close to the South Galactic Pole itself. So, the central thesis of our lecture is this. Sculptor is a profound cosmic lesson that significance is not always synonymous with brightness. It is, in a sense, a philosopher constellation. Positioned at the very edge of our galactic home, it teaches us to perceive the deep structure and harmony of the universe, not in the glare of nearby stars, but in the quiet darkness of a region the ancients dismissed as mere emptiness. And this leaves us with a final, contemplative question. As we peer through this window into the cosmos, we see countless other galaxies, entire worlds being shaped by gravity and time. It compels us to ask, in the spirit of the celestial sculptor himself, what other wonders, what other worlds are being carved from the eternal dark, just waiting to be discovered?
Thank you, friends. Strive for understanding and become wiser. See you soon.